All right, everybody, we're back for part two of the tier list. We're doing the adult timeline this time, and we are exactly 1 month, 1 month out from when I did the first tier list, the first video. I actually recorded that a few hours before season three dropped, and tonight, right now, is a few hours before episode six drops of season three. So we're officially halfway through the season at this point. And the reason it's taking me so long to do part two is because I have a lot of irons in the fire right now. I'm still in college, I'm in my last year of college, so that's been taking up some time. I'm an author, so I'm writing my novel. I'm also writing a screenplay for a production company that hired me last year. I'm working on this other novel with a group of friends. I'm doing a fan fiction for Yellowjackets on Wattpad. I may link that down below if anybody's interested, but that's been getting some traction lately, so that's been a lot of fun. I've been putting a lot of time into that. I just have a lot going on. But I have been recording reaction videos every single week for every episode that comes out, and I'm going to continue to do that, even though I'm not sure I'm going to actually ever release those reactions. Simply because for one, I already had copyright issues just with that tier list video. I've only included like 10 seconds at a time of like certain clips, and I got copyrighted already. It's not like the bad copyright. I didn't get like a strike or anything. It just tells me that if I was to ever monetize that video, all the ad revenue would go to, I guess, Paramount. I'm actually not sure. I didn't really read it, but it's not anything bad, and I'm not going to monetize any of these videos because I'm just doing this for fun. I'm not taking it too seriously, but just the idea that I got copyrighted just based off of that little bit of footage that I put in there every now and then, it just means that even if I wanted to like release those reaction videos, I don't see how I could without facing potentially bigger consequences, so this is a new season, season three. Only thing I can think of is just do what I see some of my other reactor friends do. Just do like a full length reaction and just put a timer on the screen and kind of cut out the audio and blur the footage, and you can just sync up with me and we watch it together. But I mean, dude, I don't know. I mean, if somebody's interested in that, then sure, I would take the time to do that and release my initial reactions to all these episodes. Yeah, I mean, there's some good moments in there that were shocking to me. So I'm glad that I did record my reactions, and I'm going to continue to do so. But I don't know, man. Like, this is not a reaction based channel. I just wanted to do that because I love the show so much. But I will 100% be doing reviews of every episode in season 3. From episode 1 to episode 10, I'm going to do a review, probably 20-30 minutes a piece, something in that range. And I'm going to just click through the episode and talk about each aspect of it. So that's going to be fun. I might even do that with, friends or other reactors or other YouTubers. It just depends on how time is looking. But yeah, man, tier list part 2. I'm gonna place Paul in Nothing to Work With, and I know that seems a little weird, but hear me out. Okay, so every scene we have of Paul is obviously a flashback through Ben, but the thing is, we don't know if those are accurate flashbacks or if they're basically hallucinations or projections or delusions, because every time we see a moment between these two characters, it cuts back to Ben laying in the bed or Ben, stressed out or crying or upset. So we don't know if that's him projecting what he wished these conversations went like, or if these are actual conversations that happened, or what. We don't have any idea, any kind of guideline. We're just experiencing everything through Ben's point of view at the time that we're seeing it, which is why he's starving, while he's depressed, while he's scared out of his mind because he's surrounded by cannibals, essentially. So it's kind of hard to place him anywhere and pretend that I'm being unbiased. But he seems like a good guy, maybe. But I don't know. He seems decent. He seems like he's nice and supportive, and he's a realistic character. He's very realistic about Ben's situation as far as his I guess his sexuality goes, and just him as a person, like where he stands in the world, what he wants to be, what he wants to do, where he wants to go. He is a realistic like anchor point for Ben, but we don't know how much of that actually happened. So maybe by the end of the list I'll change my mind and kind of put him somewhere, but I think realistically the only place that he really fits is nothing to work with. So, and next we have Lisa. And you know, I like Lisa. Lisa, I mean, it's I like Lisa. You know, she's probably one of the more grounded and like just emotionally like raw aspects of the adult timeline. And with all the crazy shit that's going on there, I think we need some grounded some grounded characters. But yeah, I think she's just one of the few like genuinely kind and kind of warm characters, not only in the adult timeline but just in the show in general. Unlike Lottie's like other followers who are kind of weird and unstable and kind of quirky and fully reliant upon Lottie's teachings and Lottie's ways, I think Lisa has a good independent mindset apart from all that, even though she's getting lessons and getting, you know, taking different aspects of Lottie's, I don't want to say cult, but it's kind of a cult, Lottie's cult, and turning it into something positive. I think, you know, I think she's doing a really good job at remaining independent. And I think her dynamic with Nat in season 2 is actually one of the stronger points of season 2. I'm not one of those people that think season 2 is, you know, bad or worse than season 1. I think they both have their strengths, and I think this is actually one of them. So, you know what? Hold on. I'll move Lisa. Lisa's cool. I'll move her up here. And next up, we have Officer or Deputy Saracusa. I don't know what his title is, but we're gonna make him a new title. A new tier. We're just gonna say, "You suck." That's where I was gonna call him Callahan because of Stranger Things, but that's where Saracusa's going. He goes in his own category. You suck. And the reason I don't have him down there with Shauna is because while Saracusa is annoying and obnoxious and arrogant and all those other words, he's intentionally written like that. Like that's his job. He was a minor antagonist for season 2, so his whole thing, I mean, he served his role. You know, he did what he was supposed to do. Unlike Teen Shauna, who I just consider to have just writing issues in general, but mostly inconsistencies within. I don't know what her characterization is supposed to be. Like, I don't understand teenage Shauna. I mean, I'm not gonna get into that again. You know, we've already did the teen timeline thing, but yeah, that's why he's there and not down there with Shauna. I think Shauna deserves her own tier just for her. But yeah, man, Saracusa, he is realistically irritating rather than over the top, which they easily could have done with his character. They don't portray him as some kind of mastermind. Like, he gets outplayed multiple times in one season. I mean, he got outplayed by a teenager twice. Callie played him hard twice. So I like that they didn't make him like this ultra genius. I like that he's still very green in some aspects, even though, you know, he's this major obstacle for our group. But yeah, I don't know if he's even coming back because I feel like they wrapped that storyline with him up when they killed off Kevin. I don't know why he would return or how he could return, because if he does, I don't imagine he will be on our group's side because he spent the whole season fighting against that group. But I also don't see how he can't return as an antagonist again because of what Walter did to kind of wrap up that story. Like, I guess Walter would just throw him under the bus, right? I mean, I don't know how it works. I don't know if Saracusa's coming back or not, but he did his job. You know, I don't like him, but you know, he is what he is. I like the actor though, John Reynolds. He's in Stranger Things. He plays Callahan, but he's also in it's a Search Party. I don't know. I didn't watch much of it, but I mean, he's good. You know, I enjoy that actor a lot. His performances are funny, and you know, yeah. And next up, we have Walter Tattersall. I'm gonna put I mean, I'm gonna put Walter all the way up here. I think. Do I like him more than Van? I mean, I don't know. That's actually kind of a tough choice. But I think by the time we end his character, he'll be up here. But I might put him under Van for now, just because we got more time with Van. But yeah, man, Walter, he's one of the more intriguing additions to the show, and I think he's actually probably the most interesting part of the adult timeline as a whole. I think like just his character and all the mystery wrapped around him. We still don't know Walter's his intentions, and we're halfway through the third season at this point. But it feels like he exists in like this weird like gray space where you never really know how much of what he says or does is genuine, but it turns out to always be genuine. Everything he says, everything that you think would be like a lie, like him being a millionaire, him, those 3 truths, 1 lie thing, but all 3 of them were truths. Like that whole thing, you just feel like everything he says is like an act or like a tale, but that turned out to be true every time. And I don't know, I just find his character to be pure chaos kind of, and it's in an enjoyable way, kind of like how I feel about Misty, both adult Misty and teen Misty. And I think the way he interacts with her, like the sincerity in those interactions, I think those are, if nothing else about Walter is real or authentic, I think at least the way he feels towards Misty and the way he interacts with Misty is legitimate. Whether it's obsessive, whether it's romantic, or just like a deep admiration, whatever you want to call it, I think at the very least that part of him is 100% real. But yeah, man, look, he's played by Elijah Wood. Misty's played by Christina Ricci. Like, I'm only human. Of course, I'm a big fan of Christina Ricci and Elijah Wood. Everybody's a fan of Elijah Wood. So I think that alone raises his character up a bit. Like, I try to be unbiased, but we got Elijah Wood is in Yellowjackets, bro. Like, come on, man. Like, obviously we're gonna put him at the top of the list, but nah, he's cool. I can't wait to learn more about Walter. With episode 5 of season 3, we actually got a lot of him, or at least more than we usually get. So that's fun. I hope they continue that, because I feel like the more we learn about Walter, the more I start to like him, rather than the opposite. When they first introduced him, I thought that he would be kind of, I felt like he would lose his appeal fast rather than the way it's been going. So I like that they don't overuse his character. He's just there at the right times. So I hope they continue that trend, because Walter's very interesting. Yeah. And we're at Simone. And I'm gonna put Simone in there fine, and it's not because she's a bad character or anything. Like, in fact, I actually say she's probably one of the most rational and just overall just justifiable characters in the show. But she doesn't stand out to me. I don't find her compelling. Not really. Like, it's okay to have a character that's just okay, that's just fine. It's not a bad thing. That's pretty much how I feel about Simone. She functions as like a roadblock, a necessary roadblock to Taissa, and not in a frustrating or like antagonistic way, but as someone who is understandably trying to protect herself and her son from whatever's going on with Taissa. And we know Taissa's having some weird shit going on. So yeah, nearly every decision Simone makes is the correct and reasonable response. And apparently the fandom doesn't like that. They're kind of, people don't like Simone because she's correct. Like, I don't know what it is, bro. People don't like Simone because I think it's because Ty's the main character, right? And you don't want people against your main character. No matter how much your character is unraveling and kind of spiraling, you don't like characters who are against them, regardless of if they're correct or justifiable or not. And that's just kind of how this fan base is overall. But yeah, her biggest role in the show is just being a grounding force. She's just there to comment on Taissa's fall from grace, and that's pretty much it. Like, she's fine. I don't know what else to say. That's her tier. She's just there. She's just, yeah. I don't know. And I'm glad Sammy is the next one up because I feel the same about Sammy as I do Simone. I'm gonna place him above Simone just because I think he's a little bit more interesting, because I feel like whatever's going on with Sammy is kind of similar to Taissa, where he might disassociate, or maybe he has like a split personality thing going on too. So yeah, I'm gonna place him above Simone. But at the end of the day, they're both here just to be parts. They're just here to elevate, or be like a foil to Taissa's story, if anything. And that's fine. I'm okay with characters that are plot devices. The only time I have a problem with those type of characters is when they're like the main character, or like a very active character in the story, but only to move the plot forward and nothing else. Like, I don't like characters that have a whole lot of screen time, but they don't stand on their own. They're just there for the sake of other characters. I can't stand that. But for these two, and the little role that they have in the show, like, they're fine, I was finna say he has a little bit more personality than Simone, but no, I think Simone has a little bit more personality. But Sammy's a kid. Any decision he makes that seems to be a bad decision is all excusable by the fact that he's a young child too. It's kind of up to Simone and Taissa to, get those issues solved, I guess you can say. So yeah, Sammy, Simone, they're fine. Don't really have too much to say other than that. And next up, we have my boy Randy. And Randy's going in love them, bro. I don't care. Randy's one of my favorite characters. Every time Randy's on the screen, it's a good time. He's legit one of the funniest characters. Like, top 3 for sure. And, he's just in a show like this where everybody has like some kind of darker motive most of the time. It's just nice to have a character that's just genuinely nice and just himself, and a loyal friend. Like, he's there for Jeff, and I guess Shauna too by extension. He's there for Jeff no matter what. Like, no matter how crazy shit gets, he just goes right along with it. He is one of the most loyal friends I've seen in like recent television history. And the funny part is, they don't really emphasize it much. Like, he's just down for the ride all the time, but they don't give it much attention. And I like that. I like that it's kind of, even though it's not subtle, the way they handle it feels natural. Like, they don't overplay the whole loyalty thing. But yeah, even Shauna, who is pretty much no nonsense, always trying to get to the point. Even she says that Randy's a good friend, and that's because he is. He's not smart. He's not strategic, but he's, at the very least, he's genuine, and I think that counts for a lot, especially in a show like this. And he's funny too. Like, we need that comedic relief, and Randy just existing in his own like bubble of whatever the hell Randy's think about is fantastic. But yeah, man, Randy's cool. He's dope for sure. One of my favorites. Alright, now we're at Kevyn Tan, and I'm gonna pick Kevyn Tan and like them. I don't feel too strongly about Kevyn, other than the fact that I really do think he didn't deserve what happened to him. Like, he seems like one of the, just the good people in the show. He was just trying to do his job, and it's unfortunate that it's the same way I feel about Javi, really. Of course, I don't tie innocence to Kevyn like I did to Javi, because Javi was a kid, Kevyn's an adult. But I think Kevyn's also a father. And the way that, I just don't like that they killed him off like that. I don't think he deserved that whatsoever. Literally, he was just trying to do his job. But what makes Kevyn work as a character for me is that he's believable. As someone who once had a connection to Natalie, but didn't really stay in her world, especially after the whole plane crash and wilderness, situation. He just wasn't built for that kind of chaos that came with being around Nat, especially in their adulthood with all the shit that followed her from the wilderness. And because of that, because he wasn't there for the brunt of it, he wasn't built in it like Nat was, he just got kind of consumed by it. He got swallowed up by all the chaos and the crazy shit, and it sucks because, again, I think he really is a good person. And Walter killing Kevin is the one thing I don't like about Walter. I think it's the only thing he's done that I just don't agree with. But yeah, it's just, yeah, I don't know what else to say. I like Kevin. I hate that they killed him, but it is what it is. Okay, Jessica Roberts. I'm gonna place her in They're Fine. I don't know. I feel like she's she's literally the most neutral character in the show for me. Like I'm not a here nor there about her. I don't really feel too strongly either way. Of everybody on this list, I think she is definitely the one that fits into that. Like, this is her tier, the They're Fine tier. Yeah, she's involved in some shady shit. Digging into the survivors, working as a fixer, a professional manipulator. It seemed like with Misty, but none of it feels like it. The same as Walter. It doesn't feel overtly malicious. I think she also is just doing her job, but her job is a bit more her job isn't as streamlined as Kevin's job is. She's not really upholding law. She is, I don't even know what you would call her. Like, again, I think she's just like a fixer or something. Yeah, and that's what makes her different from characters like Kevin or Randy. She's not a bad person, but she also is not a good one either. She doesn't seem like a good person. But yeah, and her death is just like a reminder of how brutal Yellowjackets is. Nobody's safe in this world, this universe. She's a good reminder of that. She was playing a dangerous game. She got too close to all of the shenanigans, but especially Misty. That's the one she really needs to stay away from more than any of them. Unlike Kevin's death, which was, it felt tragic because he was truly innocent. Hers was more like a cautionary tale, kind of. You get too close to the fire, then you get burnt, pretty much. That said, though, she's not I don't find her too compelling outside of her, like, just her main function in the story. She serves a role well, but once she's gone, I don't feel too strongly about it. I think it's just, she just did what she was supposed to do. That's it. So she's fine. And I'm not gonna put Allie with her teenage version. I think we actually get a bit more of her as an adult, surprisingly. It may be the same amount of screen time, but since we had her younger scenes coupled with these older scenes of her eventually, it feels like we know her better as an adult. And she's fine. I like her. I think she has a lot of personality, especially for somebody with so little screen time. Like, honestly, other than Crystal, I think she has more personality than these three combined. Really. Yeah, I like her. She's spunky. That's pretty much all we know about her. She's just like she's a firecracker. She's loud and kind of obnoxious, but I don't know. I hope we see more of her in the future. Yesterday I said the same thing about Lisa, and actually when episode 6 came out of season 3, which I watched last night, I'm upset, by the way, y'all. Like, that shit was crazy. Episode 6 was amazing. Honestly, one of the better episodes of the entire show, in my opinion. But we got Lisa back, so I'm sure Allie will at some point come back. I really want to see her because I like her attitude. But for now she's just fine until we see more of her. Okay, now we're the first major character of the adult timeline, which is Adam Martin. And I think this might be controversial, but I don't really like Adam. I mean, I don't know if this is a hot take or not. But I don't know, man. Adam, he's kind of weird and creepy. He gave off kind of stalker and serial killer vibes. I guess Walter does too, but at least Walter has a personality underneath all his eccentric shit. But I don't know, man. Adam, I don't know what it is. I just don't like him much. Everything he says and does is layered with all kinds of just nope like in between it. I will say though, the writers, I think they confirmed this, but I might have to fact check that. I don't know if they confirmed it or it was just like a rumor, but apparently at one point in time, Adam was meant to be an older Javi. Um, now, like I said, I need to fact check that, but I don't know when in the script development process they decided to change that. But I know that even during season one's airing, like when it was coming on every week, a lot of the fan base thought that Adam was Javi as well. So I mean, it obviously they had set the seeds for it, and I guess they hadn't like fully removed it from the script. Um, I mean, I don't think I ever got that vibe necessarily when I was watching, but I mean, it makes sense, and I think they look similar, similar enough. But I think they really would have made Adam's character a bit better. Like it would have gave his kind of mysteriousness and weirdness a little bit more substance, I think. And it also would have made Travis's storyline better as well. It would have enhanced that because, as you know, Travis died almost immediately in the adult timeline. Like we didn't get a single moment of him alive. I don't think. Yeah, no, we literally didn't get to see him alive except for in season 2 during flashbacks. And I think he died for. I think adult Travis died for no reason. Like his death didn't really lead to anything that we couldn't have gotten to without him dying. Like they could have found so many other ways to introduce Lottie back into the story, or or whatever else. I think that was the only thing that really came from Travis dying, was just that Lottie storyline, and there was so many other ways to do that. So Travis died for no reason, but I think Adam being Javi would have literally increased the adult timelines, like plot tenfold in all aspects, but they didn't do that. And like I said, Adam is just a weird character. My dog trying to get in my room, my bad. But yeah, Adam's just a weird character overall. And I don't really, I guess I don't necessarily dislike him now that I think about it, but I'm not moving him up. I think he's right where he needs to be. Him and Saracusa are both strange. But yeah, man, I just wish they would have stuck with their original plan. But things changed, and I guess they didn't really like that vision. But I mean, even now that I'm thinking about it even more, I think it would have increased teenage Javi's story too. I didn't like the way they killed him off. They didn't really give him much to do. He came back. He was silent for most of the season. He said like 3 lines the whole time in season 2. Like I just felt like that character was a waste, and him not dying out there but maybe disappearing, like just staying gone that whole time and ended up being Adam Martin would have been cool. But I feel like that's one of the storylines they dropped the ball on. But yeah, Adam, he's a strange one. I'm gonna leave him down there for now. Maybe I'll raise him up to here by the end of it, but I think he's in a solid spot. You know what? Here, I do that. I don't think he may not be as bad as Saracusa, but but yeah. And now we're at Jeff, who I think is hands down the best character from the adult timeline. I think they've done such a good job with him. When you first start the season off, you think Jeff is going to be this kind of douchebag character that kind of shows up every once in a while just to look suspicious. You think he's just Shauna's husband, the guy she cheats on, a plot device. But instead, as the season and as the show progresses, he becomes, like, to me, the heart of the adult storyline. Like, he's the fan favorite. He's the Steve Harrington of Yellowjackets. And I think what makes Jeff so amazing is just it's kind of like Randy, like that unwavering loyalty he has to his family. He knows everything about Shauna. He knows everything about Shauna and what she did in the woods, everything she's done since. And he still chooses to stand by her regardless of that. And that's something people don't talk about much when they talk about Jeff, that he's just there for her. Maybe it was out of some kind of obligation or guilt that he felt towards, the Jackie situation, because he he cheated on Jackie. And the way I feel about when people cheat, Shauna was Jackie's best friend, but she was not in a relationship with Shauna. She was in a relationship with Jeff. So it's Jeff takes the blame in that situation over Shauna, in relation to that whole Jackie cheating scenario. So Jeff isn't perfect by any means. He's made many mistakes, but I don't think it's just guilt or obligation anymore. I think he really truly does love Shauna. Just wants to be there for her. Um, and he's not as naive or as oblivious as people think. He knows exactly who his wife is. He knows what she's capable of, but he's all in anyway. And that's not a weakness. That's a kind of love and a kind of commitment that's almost unheard of, just in general. But especially in a show like this, where, like I said previously, it feels like everyone has some kind of like darker ulterior motive. And yeah, he makes dumb choices, like just straight up terrible dumb decisions, but I don't think they're ever really malicious towards anybody, really. He they're not ever like acts of cruelty or selfishness, really. They're mostly made out of like just desperation and panic, or just lack of experience with being a criminal. He's a very shit criminal, and Shauna has said that I think twice now in the show, that he's not a bad person. He's just really, really bad at crimes. But yeah, everything he's done, from blackmailing, the Yellowjackets, to covering up a murder, has been to protect his family. And even when he's just way over his head, he still tries his best. And then there's Callie, his daughter. And he really is like genuinely trying to be her father and be a better protective figure in her life. I almost said in her lives. I meant to say in her life. He's trying his best, man. He's trying to be a good dad, to keep his family together, to keep them safe. It's kind of shaky right now because there's so many things going on that's both out of his control and just completely above his pay grade. Like, he's wrapped into a lot of crazy shit being with Shauna, but I just like his commitment to the cause. I like how hard he's trying to just be there. And the fact that they made this guy who was supposed to be this generic cheating husband into this show's like one of the show's most loved characters is a testament to how well written he is and how well performed he is by Warren Cole. But yeah, man, I really like Jeff, and if anything happens to Jeff, I don't know. I think I'm done with the adult timeline. Like, I think that's going to be the final straw for a lot of people, not just me. With Ben officially being dead with this last episode, rest in peace, Ben. With Lottie being officially gone, with Nat out of the picture, like, there's just not too many more compelling adult characters left, in my opinion. So if they take him out, I think that's it for me. I think I'm just done with the adult timeline. So hopefully they don't do that, because Jeff is a true gem of a character, and I hope he continues to grow. Alright, now we have Callie, and I'm gonna place Callie in like them. Pretty much at the same place I would put Lisa at. I think they're even with each other. And I'm glad that in season 3 it seems like Callie's growing on more people, or I guess towards the end of season 2 she started to grow on people a lot more, because I don't know, I've always liked Callie. I didn't never really dislike her, even in season 1. From the start, she I think she had far more like justification for her attitude and her actions than Shauna did, who, as the adult in the situation, should have been handling things better between her and Callie. And the fact that Shauna spent most of seasons 1 and 2 treating her own daughter like a rival rather than, like a parent, or like a child. I mean, it made Callie's behavior make sense, her initial behavior at least. But yeah, she's bratty and she's kind of bitchy, but it's reasonably bratty, not annoying for the sake of being annoying. And one of the best things about Callie is that she's a consistent character. Like, her arc has been steady. nothing she's done so far has felt out of character for her or out of place. I think every decision she makes seems like the reasonable decision for her character. And she's just smart. I know she kind of dropped the ball a little bit with Saracusa, but she was vulnerable at the time, and you have to remember she's a teenager. So, but yeah, she notices the cracks in Shauna's lies. She's protective of her dad, which is one of the highlights of the adult timeline. The bond between her and Jeff is really, really fun to see. And I think it's genuine too. I think those two have a lot of chemistry, even though we don't really see them like interact as much as Jeff and Shauna or Shauna and Callie. I think those two have a really genuine bond, and it feels like natural chemistry between the two actors. But yeah, I think that part of the adult timeline is one of the best parts. So her potential going forward is huge. I'm glad that they're including her in more stuff. I really wish that they didn't cut the whole Lottie and Callie storyline so soon. Like we about to get to Lottie soon, but I don't understand the decision to do to Lottie what they did. It's so strange. But anyway, but yeah, Callie's cool, and I was a fan of Sarah, the actor from Riverdale, way before I knew she was in this show. I didn't even know she was in this show when I started watching it. So it was really fun seeing her here. In Riverdale, she's kind of a bitch. She's a villain. She plays Donna in Riverdale. But even Donna had her moments of being not the worst, But yeah, Sarah, Jesus. Callie's cool. So I placed her right here. I don't think I like her as much as Misty. Yeah, her and Lisa are about even in my book, I would say. I may like Callie a little bit more just because we know her a bit better than Lisa. Okay, Adult Van is one of the hardest characters for me to place. I like her for sure. I don't know if I'm gonna place her here for now. She's not a bad character by any means. I just feel like she hasn't had the same level of impact that her teenage counterpart has had so far. Teenage Van is one of the more charismatic and layered and compelling characters in the show, whereas Adult Van feels underutilized so far, especially in season 3. It feels like she's an extension of Taissa's arc rather than being her own character. Kind of like Simone and Sammy, but with a million times more personality than those two. But her teen counterpart, Teenage Van, feels like her own character, with her own arc, rather than just being a part of Taissa's arc. And Teen Van, she balances the humor with, her resilience, and also with that descent into that culty-like behavior. Because I feel like Teen Van, even now in episode 6 of season 3, I still think Teen Van is one of the scarier ones. My opinions have shifted slightly in season 3, but for the most part, even though we haven't seen much of that side of her as much as I thought we were going to prior to watching the season, I still feel like Teen Van is one of the scary characters. And yeah, in season 2, Adult Van felt like she was getting towards that type of behavior again, that grim, kind of detached feeling, especially in the finale when they were drawing the cards, and how she was for that whole process, even if it was just a ploy to get Lottie treated or whatever the hell they were trying to do in the finale. Even though it was presented as that, I think there was some truth to that. I think some of that behavior she was falling back into was legitimate. And I guess I figured going into season 3, she wouldn't be too much more important than she was in season 2. The only thing that I really saw for her character was just that her cancer was going to be in remission because of what Lottie said in the season 2 finale. And it looks like we're kind of heading towards that. It's a bit unclear. I don't know. I don't know if she's in full remission or partial remission or what's going on right now. But at the very least, her cancer has stopped metastasizing. So maybe it's not gone, but it's not necessarily moving either. And that's pretty much what I expected for her character for season 3. But I hope that she finds that individuality again that she had as a teen, because Teen Van is really entertaining. Like, if she's nothing else, she's entertaining. So I like Adult Van. I just hope they find a way to use her better. And Lauren Ambrose is fucking gorgeous, by the way. Like, that is one of the most beautiful women I've seen in my entire life. She's so damn pretty, bro. But yeah, I'm gonna place her in like down towards the kind of the bottom end, but I still like her a lot. It's just I don't love what they're doing with her character right now. And I feel the same way about Adult Lottie. I'm gonna place her like basically in the same spot as Adult Van. I think again, Teen Lottie is my favorite character in the show, or at least like a top 2 or 3 contender. And I feel like she's the strongest and like potentially the most compelling character in the entire show. It's between her and like Natalie. And there's just something about Teen Lottie's presence and the way she kind of rises and falls when it comes to like being that spiritual leader. Like, she's been going up and down literally since season 1, and in the current like episode 6 season 3, it felt like she was kind of taking the reins again. And then, you know what happened at the end of that episode, the crazy ass shit that happened at the end of episode 6. I don't know what direction they're going to go, but Adult Lottie doesn't really click with me the same way, and I don't know why that's the case. It just something just feels off with that character. And I don't think it's intentional, or maybe it is intentional. Maybe I'm missing something, but I don't know. She's still interesting, and I don't think she's a bad character by any means, or a bad person either. But she lacks that intensity that I think Teen Lottie has, or at least that presence that Teen Lottie has. And I think some of it probably is intentional. Like, obviously she's trying to leave that part of herself behind, the Lottie that I find the most interesting, which is the one that's kind of navigating the bridge between the spiritual leader and, you know, just trying to be a survivor out there in the wilderness. And because she's trying to leave that part of herself behind, I feel like it kind of muted her character a little bit, where she kind of lost what made her what she is. And unfortunately, she never really found a replacement for that. You know, like, being a cult leader is cool and all, and it feels like a natural progression to her as a person, but it just doesn't feel the same between her two, you know, her adult and her teenage version. And her death, man, like, for one, even now I know like Simone Kessel has been in interviews and everything, and they're really talking like Lottie is dead. And I know in the show we saw her body and everything, but it's something about it. It feels so strange. It feels so sudden that I still don't believe it. I don't know what it is, but I just can't. I don't know, man. It was so sudden. It was so quiet. It felt rushed, and it still feels rushed even 3 episodes later, or 2 episodes later. I'm not sure. I can't remember when I think it was the end of episode 4. So yeah, 2 episodes later. It just feels weird. It feels almost like absent of emotion, you know? I don't know, man. It's just Adult Lottie has so much potential, and I'm not saying that she didn't, you know, reach some of that potential, because she did, and I was super happy to see her, and I'm glad that we spent a lot of time with her. But like I said with Callie in season 3, I think her and Callie bonding was one of the better parts of season 3 so far. And for that to be over because they decided to kill her in such an unceremonious way, it's kind of strange. Like, if they were going to kill somebody and they needed that shock factor, I know it wouldn't make any sense, but I mean, I feel like Van would probably be a better catalyst for that. One, because she's a lot more interconnected with a main player, which is Taissa. So like that, it felt like that would have been a bigger like high stake kind of situation, because with Lottie, nobody really seems to care right now except for Misty. And I think Misty's the only one that really cares about anything that goes on. Like, she's the only one that gives a shit about anything. Um, but yeah, man, it just right now I feel like her arc is incomplete, and I hope they do something to remedy that. But I don't know. I really don't know what to say as of now. So for right now, I'm just gonna put her there. Maybe something will change and she'll rise up a little bit. Hopefully, it's a bunch of bullshit and she comes back like she's not actually dead. But I don't know. I think I'm being delusional about that. And again, Simone Kessel, just like Lauren Ambrose, bro, she is one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. Bro, this cast, man, this show has like oh my god, man, these women are so damn gorgeous. I don't even pay attention to the show half the time. Like I think I had to rewatch the show so many times because I kept getting distracted by all these damn people. But but yeah, man, I like Lottie. Hopefully, whatever the hell they got going on with her storyline becomes more complete before the season ends. I don't know, but we'll see. And this comes to no surprise because, come on, man. Obviously, Misty is like the best main core character. I don't think many people would disagree with me. I know that I talked a lot of shit. I talked a lot of shit when it came to teenage Misty and saying that people love her despite all the stuff she does. And that, I mean, I love her too. I'm one of those people, but I just find it kind of funny that I talk so much shit about her doing all this crazy chaotic stuff that literally puts people in danger or worse, and she gets to slide by in the fandom because she's that entertaining. And I'm one of the people that also do that because I think adult Misty is probably the most entertaining character in the whole show, like objectively. And she also feels the most like her teenage counterpart, and I think that's a lot of I think that's a huge bonus for me, is like as far as where her placement goes. Not that I care too much about continuity between the two versions of these characters. For one, because people change as they grow up, and when you're going through traumatic shit like this, I'm guessing the changes are even more like extensive than it is with people that have lived a relatively normal life. So I don't care much about the continuity, but the fact that they're so similar and their performances are so close, like Sammy Hanratty's and Christina Ricci, I don't know, man, it gets some bonus points for me. But everything about Misty, dude, her mannerisms, her unpredictability, the way she just embodies, she's just pure chaos. She's the most chaotic energy in the show. And it feels completely natural to me. It feels like a natural evolution from teen Misty, who's also very chaotic and unpredictable. And of course, Christina Ricci nails the role. Like, I didn't even know Christina was in this show. Like I said in my first tier list episode, I started watching because of Ella Purnell. Like, I had just watched the Fallout show. I really wanted to see more of her, so I decided to watch this. But I didn't know that all these people was in it. And when I saw Christina Ricci, bro, I knew that I don't care if this show sucked, I was going to watch it to the end because I'm that much of a fan of her. I had the biggest crush on Christina Ricci growing up. But yeah, man, Misty is just hands down the most entertaining person in the adult timeline. Every scene she ends feels like it's elevated because she's in the scene. Like, you never know exactly what she's going to do. You don't know what she's going to say. She keeps the plot moving. She's the only character in this whole show that literally moves the plot every time she's on screen. Nobody else seems to care about what's going on around them. She is moving the Lottie plot forward. She moved forward with Nat's whole thing, from last season when they were trying to find Lottie's cult and whatever. She was the one that was on the case. Like, she is the one that gets shit done, bro. She does everything. I think Misty's literally carrying the adult timeline on her shoulders, bro. Yeah, her and Jeff, if they got to interact more, I think they would steal the show. I think there would be no need to have any other characters if those two interacted more. So I think they know what they're doing. They're keeping them separate so they don't literally just steal the entire season. But yeah, man, I love Christina. I love Misty, adult Misty, and I love Christina Ricci. And I'm gonna make a bold prediction. I'm gonna say that if everybody else in this show dies by the end of it, I think Misty is the only survivor. I think she would be the last one alive out of everybody, including Shauna, because to me, Misty is the show. She's Yellowjackets. She is the one who's the most involved. She's always the one scheming and moving things forward. Like, no matter how dark or no matter how ridiculous and over the top it is, like, Misty is the one in the center of everything. So if anybody survives to the end, I'm giving it to Misty. I think she's the... Honestly, Misty might be the main character, in my opinion. I know it's supposed to be Shauna, but I feel like both Misty and Natalie kind of took that over. And unfortunately, you know, Nat's gone now, so I really think it's Misty's show. I love Misty, man. I think pretty much everybody would have her near the top of the list. If not as like a personal favorite, at least as far as importance and being entertaining. So yeah, I don't think this is a hot take. I don't like her as much as Teen Nat, but I do. I really enjoy her character. And of course, the Queen is next. I mean, Nat has to be right beside Misty, right? I think Nat is one of the most complex and well-written characters in the show. I think it's between her and Teenage Lottie for like the best character. But what makes her so compelling is that we're constantly learning more about what shaped her as a person, how she became what she is in an adult, because a lot of people complain that out of everybody, it really felt like teen Natalie and adult Natalie felt the most different. I don't agree with that, but that's what a lot of people felt, and a lot of people didn't really know how she ended up like adult Nat. But now that we're learning more and more about her, especially with this last episode, like the one we're currently up to, where she basically mercy killed one of the people she was closer with, which is Coach Scott, because he was like quite literally begging her to just end him because he was suffering. And she actually went through with it after so much, you know, this inner struggle and turmoil about it. She did it for him. Like she caved and she did that. And I'm sure it destroyed her because, like I said, her and Coach Scott had a really close relationship. It was actually one of the more like enduring parts of the teen timeline, those two bonding. And then there's Juliette Lewis, who is just phenomenal in everything she's in, but she killed it as Natalie. She and the character were perfectly matched. I feel like they both lived up to each other, which is not really it's not really uncommon in this show. But I just really feel like I feel like Juliette Lewis was I think Nat was made for Juliette Lewis. I was gonna say Juliette Lewis was made for Nat, but hell, maybe she was, honestly, like that much in sync. But yeah, Nat is not perfect. She's deeply flawed. She's made horrible decisions, like terrible mistakes. But what sets her apart from pretty much every other character in this show is that not only does she know that she's flawed and recognize that she's flawed, but she actively tries to better herself. Between rehabs, her attempts to reconnect with Travis, the whole finding herself journey at Lottie's cult. Sure, it didn't start off as that, but it ended up with her trying to be better. And out of everyone, I feel like she's the one that's just trying her best to heal and kind of patch up those wounds from the past. And that's what makes her death so hard to like. I really hate that Natalie died, man. Like, between Coach Scott and Lottie and Nat, Coach Scott is my second favorite character in the show. Love him to death. But at least when he died, it felt like I didn't feel disappointed because he was suffering. Like I felt like his death was a relief more than anything else. But with Nat, I don't like it. I hate the way she died. It felt so rushed and just, maybe not rushed. Maybe it was always leading to that, and I was just so wrapped up in just seeing Juliette Lewis' performance that I kind of missed the signs that it was leading to her, passing away. But I just don't like that she's. I don't like that she's gone, man. I don't know. It just hurts because I really believe Nat could have made it out and been better, and I believe she wanted to make it out, wanted to be better, but circumstances and just the shit that she was wrapped up in just caught up to her, and it's unfortunate. Um, yeah, but Natalie as a whole, if I'm being as unbiased as I possibly can, I think Natalie might very well be the best character in Yellowjackets, even over Lottie. If I'm being like as objective as possible, I think she is. Yeah, I think she's the best character in the show. Um, and it's gonna be it. They can't replace her. Like Julia Lewis was a huge part of the show. And we just lost that when she passed away. So anyway, yeah, man, Nat, lover. Do I think any of the remaining girls have the potential to pass Nat as a character? Not really. I mean, since we already lost Lottie, so that storyline's completely gone. Misty, Shauna, Taissa, Van, I don't think they have it. Like I don't know, man. I think Nat is the best that we're gonna get, and that's not a bad thing. I'm just saying that I just think she's the pinnacle, like the peak of character development in this show. But anyway, yeah, let's move on to Taissa. I really don't have a lot to say about Taissa. Kind of the same as her teenage version. I mean, if I was ranking this based on just how interesting they are, like she would probably be up here because of the whole dark Taissa thing, like her alter ego or split personality, whatever you want to call it. That's super interesting. I think it's probably like the most interesting thing for an individual character out of everybody. Like I think that whole thing is really cool. I like that they're kind of it's harder to tell nowadays in season 3 which side is like the one that's active, because they made a huge point in season 2 to kind of show that visual change, and they do it in season 3 as well. Like in the last episode, in episode 6, you can kind of see it when she woke up in the bed and you can see her eyes change and she kind of calmed down. But other than that, it's been more difficult to tell which version is the one that's like taking over. And I think them integrating that into her character, like it's making them kind of one of the same, is where they're heading towards, and I think they're doing it really well. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about Taissa. I don't have too much to say. I like her. I feel like she, even though I feel like she gets a lot of screen time. Now that I'm sitting here listening to myself talk, because we get so many other characters that are like extensions of her story, like adult Van, Simone, Sammy, even Jessica Roberts was kind of wrapped around Taissa's story. So I feel like she gets a lot of screen time. And I'm not saying that she doesn't, use the screen time well or anything. I just don't feel as strongly for her as I probably should. And I don't think that's because of the character or because of the writing or anything. I think it's just me. Like I just don't, I'm just not the biggest fan of her, but I like her just as much as I like her teenage version. Yeah, I'm interested to see where they go with her character. I don't see Taissa dying off anytime soon. I think that would be a mistake. But yeah, she's cool. And now we're at the main character, the main person of this show, which is Shauna, adult Shauna. Man, this is literally the hardest placement to think of, because I hate teenage Shauna so much. Like I just never want her on my screen. But adult Shauna, I actually really like adult Shauna, surprisingly. I don't know, man. These two feel like such different people. And I think that's what makes it so weird. That Teen Shauna is frustrating because she's so like just inconsistent and indecisive, and her personality is just not there. She doesn't have a personality to me, other than groaning and moaning and complaining and being bloodthirsty and vicious, which I guess is a personality now, but it's really just kind of taking shape during season 3. So the first 2 seasons she didn't even have that. All she did was kind of just cry. But adult Shauna is fully like just chaotic. She's fucking hilarious. Her sarcasm is peak. Like I think her dialogue is amazing. And man, I don't know. I think I'm gonna put her up here and Love Them. Surprisingly, I want to put her under Rainy. I'm gonna put her at the bottom of Love Them, slightly above Aquila. And yeah, I think Melanie Linsky is also a huge factor in why I like Adult Shauna so much. I'm not even gonna pretend that that she's not. That's her voice, man. that soft and sweet voice when she's delivering like the craziest lines that I've ever heard in my life. It gives her like an interesting contrast, and I think it also did that for her in The Last of Us when Melanie Linsky played Kathleen. Like she has this sweet, nice voice, but she just saying like the craziest shit, and she's doing and has done horrible things, but it's like I don't know, man. I think she's really charismatic and she's kind of awkward, and honestly I feel like she's kind of like strangely relatable in a way. Like I like how she's just so over so many of these situations. Like just her sarcasm is peak, because I'm also a very sarcastic person, so I feel her. I felt like I understand the need to always kind of throw those jobs in there, because I mean it's understandable. I would be over this shit too, honestly. But yeah, they just don't feel the same. These two characters, the adult version and the teenage version of Shauna. Whereas like with adult Shauna, I feel like she's moving the story forward, and she's kind of, she's just carrying her own part of the story. I feel like Teen Shauna does the opposite. Like she drags the story down and makes me a lot more annoyed with what's going on, even if it's not like intentionally supposed to be annoying or frustrating. This her presence, bro, it just makes me mad. But yeah, and Adult Shauna is more like why are you like this, but in an entertaining way, as opposed to this version, just like why are you like this, like please go away type of energy. And I think Jeff is also like a huge factor in why I can tolerate Adult Shauna a little bit more, because yeah, she's objectively a terrible person, like an awful wife, damn near almost objectively an awful mother, an awful person overall, but she has so much this personality that it kind of negates all of that, kind of like Misty in a way. Not quite as as extreme as Misty's case, but yeah, I don't know. I just really like Adult Shauna and Jeff. I like their dynamic, and I think that's a huge part of why she's up here and this one is down here. Because the person she has the best bond with was Jackie, but Jackie was just far and away a much more interesting character to me. And now we have Melissa that's kind of filling in that kind of role, but Melissa still isn't quite like, I don't really like she's fine, she's pretty much in the same spot. But while I'm here, now that we've got the list complete, let's rearrange them based off of season 3 episode 6. That's where we're currently at now. It's not going to be too many changes. I'm going to make some slight adjustments. Like I'm going to put Mari as my favorite character, put Ben here, put Lottie there. This can stay the same. Misty, yeah, this is pretty much the same. I'd probably move Teen Taissa up a little bit. Melissa is getting on my fucking nerves. I'm moving them down. This is all good. Yeah, I think this is it. I think this is my final tier list. Mari, Coach Scott, Lottie, Jeff, Travis. You know what? Let's put Nat up here. Let's do that. I don't think she deserves to be down there anymore. This is all good to me. Keela, Van, Walter. Maybe I'll put Misty above Walter, actually. I'm really enjoying Misty in season 3. Even though she's not doing a whole lot, she still is moving up. But I really like Walter too. Callie, Lisa, Taissa, Javi. yeah, I think this is it. Anyway, guys, this has been fun doing this again to talk about my opinions of these characters that I've just just gotten so engulfed in over the span of the last few months. Yeah, I will be doing a lot more videos. I think the next ones up are like my review videos of each episode of season 3. I was gonna post reaction videos, but like I said in the intro, I don't really know if that's even. I don't even know if that's feasible, bro, with the damn copyright issues, but we'll figure something out. But anyway, thank you guys for watching this video, and I will catch you in the next one.